Today on Going Rural, let's go up the hill and explore some of the property. A little over a year ago when we bought this property, we were drawn by the countryside and how quiet and peaceful it is, and what a great place this would be for our kids to grow and their kids to grow up. So we wanted to leave them a legacy. And with that, we bought this property in mind so we can develop it, and when we're gone, we can leave them something that they can leave their kids, and it would stay in the family for as long as generation and generation. So let's go inside and check it out. It's just under 40 acres, and in this part of the country, it's probably enough for us, although we always thought that we never wanted to run into the problem of not having enough. But this is probably a good size for us where it's not going to be too much to work on, and also give us enough room so everyone can spread out and feel like they're not on top of each other. Over on this side, we have a cabin. It was built in the 50s. That was originally a one-bedroom hunting cabin, and since then it's been expanded on. And later on in the channel, we're going to do some renovations, and ultimately that will be a guest house. On this side over here, we have our first property that's going up. I have a single wide for my mother-in-law, who's going to be on property with us, and we're working on the driveway here. Later on up on that hill, my daughter would like to put her home there, and we'll show you all the preparations and everything else that we're going to do there. And here's the barn. It's 2-level metal structure with a loft, a hay loft on it. We want to have goats on property, so we will ultimately prepare this. It's got a watering trough in the back, and we will have goats, maybe one milking cow on the property. Then up here on the hill is a pole barn. It needed some repair. We'll have to re-roof it. We want to make that kind of a gathering for the family. It's going to have an outdoor kitchen, and maybe in a year or so we'll have that project done. It's just a beautiful countryside. Pretty quiet. Occasionally you hear the cows. Let's go up the road here, up on the hill, and I can see a couple of buddies waiting for us. Now over there, on a previous video, that right there is where we have a spring that comes down and feeds a spring house way at the entrance of the property. You'll see check the channel out, and I have a video of that and how that works. Here we are at the pole barn. It kind of looks down on the property. This pole barn here, it's a nice level spot. It looks like we're going to probably put my workshop up here, and either renovate or do a little demo and put up a new structure here. We'll have to get some pricing to see what it's going to cost to replace these trusses versus putting up a new building. I kind of think we're going to put up a new building, but I have a local handyman that says that he thinks he can do it for about half the price. Anybody need some tires? Looks like I got a bunch that I need to get rid of, and we'll dig this up. But I'm waiting for spring to officially come in, because last time we were here, noticed before winter, there were a bunch of rabbits had made their home inside or burrowed underneath these tires, and I certainly don't want to relocate them while we're still in winter. I'll wait for the warm weather to roll in. And this area right here, I affectionately call it the pool, but I know that the farmers here used to take this and they'd dump a lot of their crops after the season, and it would just sit here and kind of like a mulching pit. And I think we're probably going to use it because it's got some kind of concrete as a foundation. We'll probably use it in the meantime as a burn pit to help us get rid of a lot of the vegetation and stuff. And I can see that we got somebody that wants to know what it is that we're doing here, and he can't wait to come in and say hi. Our resident horse, and Cody out there, pony in the background. And up on that hill, it's kind of where we want to put our home. Still up in the air, but we're about 90% that it's going to be somewhere on the other side of Cody there. And you can see a little bit of the pond from here. Let's go over there and check it out. Now this creek kind of rolls down the property and ends up merging to the creek on the edge of Laurel Springs, but it's fed by this pond that's up on that levee. And I got somebody here who's just not going to let me walk around without him trying to mooch a snack off of me. We'll have to dig this out. I want to keep this creek flowing because we're going to do a food plot on this side of the property. It goes up to that hill. There's a fence up there, but still gives us a lot of land that otherwise we won't be using. And we can create a nice food plot in this area and use this creek as irrigation. Now the cattle that used to roam this all the time have broken some of the PVC pipes that keep the this pond full and working like it should. So we'll definitely have to go around and replace some of this and figure out how we want to use this. There's the levee here. Oh my goodness, almost fell. And here's the pond. It looks a little dried out. Still water in here, but it kind of flows out and gets around this levee and works its way down. So we'll have to rebuild this levee so we can contain the water in here and then create a dam so that we can keep the water levels up high. We'll dig this out ultimately, and I want to look into potentially stocking it with some local fish, maybe some trout. That'll also help to control the ecosystem in the pond, as well as just some entertainment and potential food source. And then down that road over there leads us to the origins of this spring. It's which starts on the property. Now we're going up this side of this hill. This is about where we want to put our home. Figure it's a good spot. It's fairly easy to level and gives us a great view. And we won't be too far from the pole barn and the workshop. And we also have, you can see the cabin and the barn from here. Well, let's go up on top of that hill and see what this property is all about. By now you get the idea of how diverse this property is and some of the challenges that it's going to give us. Over on this side here, you can see we have plenty of rolling hills, and then we have behind me, we still need to go up there, and somewhere around 3,600 feet is the elevation. So we have a lot of unique features about this farm in that we have pastures, we have a little bit of rolling hills, and we have a part at the peak that kind of looks like a national forest. Let's go up there and take a look. And I can't forget our trusty guide. Faith, come on baby, let's go. This is the top of one of the hills on the property and potential home site for one of my kids, and they love it because of the view that they get around here and also how quiet it is. We do have quite a bit of vegetation on this hillside, but we want to leave a lot of it because of the wildlife. But there is some that's decaying and dried and pose a potential threat. So we will knock some of this down and remove a lot of this bigger brush just to clean it up and make it more accessible. After all, the property is only as good as what you can use. And here's a cattle tag on the floor. Someone lost their tag. Let's check out. Hey Faith, where are we going next? Let's go check out this little valley between the two hills. But out there on the distance, you'll see the Appalachian Mountains. It's the Blue Ridge area. And then in the distance, way out there, is the Smoky Mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains. This is the valley between the two hills. There's a gate here. It's actually my neighbor's property behind us. Actually, right in there. But makes for a great view. He's the owner of the horse and the pony that roam around here, and also will let his cattle come around and graze on this. It keeps this under control. We can't get up here right now in the winter because the clay in the ground is too slippery to come up here safely with the tractor. As soon as it dries up and it becomes a little more stable, we got to get up here with the tractor and do a bunch of work. I got a lot of bush hogging to do up here, and we have a little bit more to do as far as clearing up all this brush. I want to leave some of it, but I don't want it so tight where we can't walk down. Yeah, Faith is telling me to let you know that a lot of this rock formation coming through the ground is the reason why we have this elevation on the property. It's a combination of shale and some natural rock. It's technically a mountain. It's just been covered by soil, as most mountains are, and they're just come through the ground. So just something to look out for when we're in here with the bush hog. Make sure that we have it set right. Probably come through and mark it with some flags so we know to stay away from some of the taller rocks so we don't damage our bush hog. Let's go up to this second hill. It's a little bit higher than the first one, and it's a completely different view. You know, I just had some whitetail take off down that way. They're used to not having anyone come up here. So during the day, it's where they hide out. At night, they'll come down to the cabin and say hi. This is the potential build site number 2 or 3. And right now it's got a lot of this leftover Canadian goldenrod that's drying out. It's one of the reasons we got to get the bush hog up here, is to cut this down so we can see. Right now though, we have to be careful because we could have some foaling going on. We'll have some baby deer hiding out in this brush, so we certainly don't want to disturb them and we don't want to hurt them. But again, it's another part of the property, and it goes down that way. We can walk a little bit over there. This area here makes for a great home site as well, and one of my sons already laid claim that this is kind of where he wants to put his house. So his house will probably sit right about here, just away from the trees, so they're not a problem, but it sits right here and you got that awesome view. All right, let's go check out this other part of the property. You'll see how completely different that is. This part was kind of surprising to us. The first time we came up here, we weren't ready for this. But this part of the property really just doesn't look like anything else on the property. Almost looks like you're at a national park, like there were some picnic tables. They wouldn't look out of place here. And it's really pretty, and it has its own feel. Come around this way. Let me turn this camera around so you guys can take a better look and you have a look at me. Sorry for the audio. You do get a lot of crunching leaves. We're still in winter, so some of the ground cover is still around. It's starting to go away. Soon it'll be replaced by a lot of vegetation and it'll get green again. But this is the other part. This is the farthest corner of the property. Also, some very nice views here as well. This is where the whitetail were when I disturbed them and they took off running. I do need to come around ultimately, and I need to fix this fence over here. Not worried about the deer. They can jump up to 8 feet high, so they clear the fence with no problem at all. But this tree here, definitely a problem. So it's just so big, we're gonna have to do it in sections. This is definitely gonna be a project. It's gonna take a little bit of time, and we'll certainly need the tractor up here for that. Let's go down there, take a look at that part over there where the where the trees really get thick. See what I mean about this section here. Just very dense woods. We will have to go in here and thin some of this out to use this in the future. It's a great space, and there's another potential building site right there at that base where it flattens out. Clear a few trees, makes for a great home site right here, buried in the woods. Nice cabin spot. Now you can see what I mean by this being completely different looking than the other part of the property, which has its own unique feel to it. It's real quiet. If you like the woods, this section of the property is really cool. Also, down that way is we have a secondary entrance. It's an old logging road that later on in the channel, we got to get in here with the tractor and probably get some heavy machinery, and we got to clear that path so we can use that road to get into this side. Instead of having to go around the top, we can actually come in. There's a valley, like a zigzagging road right about there, and we'll be able to develop that, and it'll let us access this side of the property. But this part is really cool, and a lot of really nice trees. So we don't want to take too many of them down, but we definitely want to keep the area open so we can use it. Once the leaves start coming in, it gets a little thick, so we want to thin it out a little bit, and we want to leave some of the areas as nature intended, so we can encourage wildlife to stay in here. We have a hawk flying overhead. You probably, I don't know if you can hear him in the video, but we do have a few hawks and potentially an eagle in the property. Haven't seen the nest, but I've heard him. So I don't know if he's on the property, but he likes to frequent here. Make it down. This is the part of the old logging road that cuts through here and gives us access. See, it goes uphill that way. If we can make it down and out through here. The sunlight is showing us a couple of different roads. See, there's one that kind of zigzags on the side of the hill there. And then there's this one that goes up that hill to that other side. It's a little bit of work that can be made. And this is the base of the logging road, and it goes down the hill that way. We're going to go down that way and come out on Laurel Springs Road. And we're going to go down that way some more. You can see I have to have a hitchhiker with me. Not that I don't trust her to get down this hill. I just don't want her to get dirty. There's just a little bit of water that comes down. And I don't want her to end up in the creek. I'll probably end up in it. But I think we're okay. We made it past. How steep it is. And we are almost out of the woods, like they say. And we made it down that logging road to our secondary entrance. That we still got a bunch of work to do, but that leads us over to Laurel Springs Road and probably the continuation of Diaz Way, as it'll go around the property and probably come out this side here. And there's Laurel Springs Road, and that way we'll go back to our main entrance. Let's go walking over that way. And we go pick up somebody right here who can't be on the street. So that was our little walking tour of our farm here in Southwest Virginia. And thanks again for staying with me. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Going Rural TV, or check us out on Facebook at Going Rural. And we'll try to keep you updated with everything that we're doing here and some product reviews of some of the equipment we're using, along with maybe some useful tips if you decide to tackle on a project like this. Again, thanks for watching.